Hello everybody. We had a viewer question about off-season and what you should do during your off-season. So before I address that, we have to define what off-season is, and I like to break it into two parts. First, you have the transitional part where you're coming off of a really hard year, the weather's getting a little cooler, you're tired, and you just kind of need a little bit of a break from the bike. Then the second part of the off-season is after you've gotten that break, you feel a little bit recharged and you're ready to start training again and do more focused, structured work. So let's talk about that first part, that break. And this break, it can range from 1 week to up to 4 weeks, even 6 weeks for some people, depending on how hard and focused they were during the year. If you were doing a ton of events, a lot of structured training, and you just feel so tired, maybe you need to take a good 4 to 6 weeks of this transitional stage. But if you were like a weekend warrior, you did maybe 3 to 4 days per week, nothing super hard, maybe you'd be fine with 1 to 2 weeks of this transitional period. And what do you do in this transitional period? Well, do things besides bike. This is more of a mental reset than a physical reset. It's both, but I want you to really focus on that mental aspect. You've spent a lot of time this past year focusing and thinking about training, and that can be mentally exhausting. What are some activities you can do during this transitional phase? Do things that aren't cycling, that maybe aren't even sport specific. Read books, watch TV, hang out with friends, go out to dinner. Just kind of refresh your spirit and your mind. And don't worry if your fitness fades. That's okay. You have plenty of time to get it back. So if you take a big chunk off the bike, if you take 1 to 2 weeks and you don't bike at all, that's okay. Don't worry. Now that you've gone through that mental and physical reset and you're feeling good to go and you have some energy and you're ready to enter that next training phase, what does that training phase look like? Well, we call it the off season because you're not actively doing events or races. You're training up for those events or races. So you need to think about the skills you will need for those events or races. If they're short criteriums, maybe you only really need to focus on high power for up to an hour because that's about what you're going to be riding. But if you're doing Grand Fondos or longer 100-mile events, you need to work on that base fitness for up to 5, 6+ hours. Now, besides biking, what can you do? This is a great time to do cross training. So you can incorporate jogging. I actually don't highly recommend this because it works completely different muscles, but if you were a triathlete or you just really enjoy jogging and that's something you've done in the past, if your body's used to that and you enjoy it, then you can continue that. If it's something you haven't really done in the past, I don't recommend starting it up now. Swimming is another great one that relaxes your body. Yoga, that's fantastic. I love yoga. It's great to stay strong and flexibility. You can do a strength training program. There are lots of ones you can stream online, or you can just go to the gym and do gym work there. I highly recommend weight work. That's going to help your cycling, maybe not in the short term, but it will in the long term. In the short term, if you're working those muscles in the gym, you might actually see a decline in performance with your biking over those winter months when you're hitting the weights hard. But don't worry, as soon as you taper back on those weights, then those strength gains will start to shine and your power numbers and your strength on the bike will go up. So when you think of the off season, think of the transitional time where you just give yourself a mental and physical break and get to a point where you feel ready and excited to go into the next stage of that off season, which is the training for your events stage. Good luck and have fun.